Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Charlie Brooker. In the news this week, in Manchester, a low-paid barista prepares George Osborne his post-speech latte. Rugby fans react to the sad news that England have been knocked out of the World Cup. And in the Bake Off final, one of the competitors wrecks her chances with her attempt to render Mary Berry's face in chocolate meringue. On Ian's team tonight is a comedian whose latest show is genuinely called Long Word, Blah, 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 I'm So Clever. So please welcome first name, second name, whatever, Nish Kumar. And with Paul tonight is an MP who, throughout her political career, has been known as a left-wing firebrand, but is now known as a wishy-washy, middle-of-the-road moderate. Please welcome Diane Abbott. And we start with the bigger stories of the week. Paul and Diane, take a look at this.
Yes, this is the new Labour Party. George Osborne says the natural party of the Labour movement is the Tories now, and so, therefore, Labour doesn't need to bother because the Tories will do all the good work for them.
And I won't say anything about either Osborne or Cameron because Jeremy has told us it's all got to be a gentler, kinder politics.
Gentler, kinder politics. Absolutely.
Are you really going to stick to that?
Well, for a few minutes.
Yes, this is the Conservative Party conference.
Oh, the Conservative Party. Sorry, I got
Yeah.
completely wrong.
It's the Conservative Party conference, a parade of would-be successors to David Cameron trying desperately to outshit one another.
Yes, yes.
Ian Duncan-Smith, what did he warn the candidates not to do?
Not to be Conservatives.
It's something you wouldn't expect a Tory conference to be.
Fun.
Beauty parade?
Absolutely. He did warn them not to turn the conference into a beauty parade because they're all vying for position to take over David Cameron. Do you want to see one of the beauties he was referring to?
Yes.
Do we have to?
What's wrong with him?
I recognise that stance. Osborne lost barrel control. I've been there.
He's certainly admitting something because he's blowing that flag back quite spectacularly. I don't know if you saw, but some wags on social media
Yes.
rather cruelly made fun of George Osborne's awkward stance. Do you want to see a picture of Theresa May? She's picked up some tips from George Osborne.
Yeah, go on in.
Go on.
Can you catch hemorrhoids?
If you've got a tennis racket and a steady hand.
What was the theme of her speech?
Well, her thing was that immigration had had no net benefit and it was very difficult to have a cohesive society and that it had put lots of British people out of work, indigenous British people, all of which was queried by furious left-wingers, i.e. other Tories at the conference.
Some members of her own party were shocked. That's her husband.
The beauty contest, there were 3 contenders to be the next leader, and 2 of them had got the message that you've got to be nice this year, and no one had told Theresa. So she did full-on nasty. And everyone looked around saying, oh, really? I mean, traditionally, the Home Secretary of the Tory conference goes sort of mad and appeals to the audience and no one minds. But this year, they're all nice. They're like you. You have changed politics.
Thank you.
What I thought was amazing... what I thought was amazing about Theresa is she spent her speech ranting on about how there are too many immigrants in the country. You would never have thought she'd been Home Secretary for 5 years.
Yeah. You think if only there'd been someone in a position of power who could have stopped this happening. Oh, it's you.
She said she was not going to allow EU migrant quotas, never in 1,000 years, is what she said, which is terrifying because that means she's planning to rule for a millennium. Why do you think she said it now about migrants?
People are saying she's going to position herself to say we need to come out of the EU to stop all these migrants coming in. Or they won't stop me and you because we're already here.
Bad luck, Theresa. I'm here taking up a white comedian's job right now.
George Osborne is the other pretender to the crown. He was first up. What was he saying in his speech?
I didn't watch it.
I've got it on DVD.
Have you?
Yeah. He's a surprising person, George Osborne.
Yeah, he was revealing his musical tastes,
Yes,
wasn't he?
yes, he was. Do you know who he's a big fan of?
Oh, yeah.
NWA?
NWA, who Ian and I are both massive fans of.
Massive fan.
What are your top 7 NWA tracks?
Top 6, give him a chance.
And one of the members of NWA is called Dr. Doctor.
Should we be that surprised? Because...
Yes, we should.
It's just because, like, NWA and the music that they made and Straight Outta Compton all came out of a group of people who felt really disenfranchised and disengaged and abandoned by society. And is this George Osborne's way of cultivating UK hip-hop? Like, what he's been trying to do is cut off the poorest people in society, make them feel really angry, and then maybe we'll get a better class of rap music.
That's a genius scheme. In an interview with the Mail on Sunday, George Osborne revealed he's a fan of rap and has even entertained Dr. Dre at Downing Street, although he did fall out with Dr. Dre over his plans to make him work a 7-day week. During...
Just imagining Junior Dr. Dre, he's really tired.
Tired rap is actually a genre.
Is it?
No. According to The Telegraph, who strongly supports Osborne's severe cuts on the low-paid?
Ice Cube.
IDS Cube. He's another of the top rappers.
Really?
He turns up the volume.
It was Ian Duncan Smith.
Yeah.
He said tax credit reforms will show parents that children cost money and discourage them from having too many. Sticking with popularity contests, what did Jeremy Hunt say to endear himself to the population
He
this
said
week?
British people should work harder. They should work more like the Chinese.
He said Asians, which as a...
No, he said Chinese.
No, he said Chinese.
He did Chinese. It's not all about you. They give some other people a break. Honestly, stealing Chinese victimhood.
He said he wants people to work as hard as the Chinese. He spoke out in favour of Osborne's cuts to family tax credits, saying, we have to proceed with these tax credit changes because they're an important cultural signal. If people are earning their own money, it is the first step towards self-respect. I wonder if claiming MPs' expenses incorrectly and avoiding £100,000 of tax through a labyrinthine property deal gives you any self-respect.
No.
Can you find that
He also said they should work as hard as Americans.
Even the teachers in America have to sell crystal meth to survive. I've seen that documentary. And Boris gave a speech afterwards. What was different about Boris's speech?
He stood up properly.
His speech was sort of even more to the centre than everyone else's.
And he talked a lot about standing up for the low-paid and the downtrodden. What was his slightly outrageous claim? He said that life expectancy has gone up since I was mayor. You live longer under the Tories.
Do you live longer or does it feel longer?
What were alternative champions of the low-paid and downtrodden doing outside the conference hall?
I'm saying really nice things to people as they went past.
Is that true?
Not really.
Did you disapprove of them, Diane?
Yes.
They're not kindly and nice, are
They're
they?
anarchists, aren't they? They're the anarchists.
They were shouting Tory scum and throwing things at Boris. Boris did kind of shrug it off. He said that he had received a warm welcome from the people of Manchester. He claimed they were chanting, Tories come, Tories come. And we all know where. What specifically was his response to the projectiles being thrown at him?
He criticised their throwing. He said that we need to invest more money in sports because they hadn't hit me in the face.
It sounds like that is throwing down the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Definitely for next year's conference. This is what he said.
I drew only one conclusion from that event, and that is that we need to do even more to support the wonderful Tracy Crouch and to encourage more sport in schools, particularly ball games, because they managed to miss me with every single projectile that they threw.
It does look alarmingly like... I know this can't be the case, but it does look alarmingly like Boris was speaking in front of a French flag there.
It does, when they crop it, it does look like that.
I mean, that would be an exclusive.
David Cameron was kind of the main act. What did you make of his speech?
Well, I mean, again, he's quite competent. He doesn't mess up the autocue. He got some applause. He did some stuff in the middle. He quoted Kipling, the poet, not the cake maker.
Don't patronise me! To be fair, I always thought it was pronounced Kapling.
It's National Poetry Day today, isn't it?
Is it?
I think it is,
Yeah, it is.
Well, not tomorrow, obviously, when we're showing, so that ruins that.
This isn't live!
It's barely breathing.
How did you feel about him having a go at your friend Jeremy Corbyn, Diane?
Well, it's certainly not the kinder, gentler.
He did say in his speech, Jeremy Corbyn, he said, my friends, we cannot let that man inflict his security-threatening, terrorist-sympathising, Britain-hating ideology on the country we love. This was in reference to an interview Corbyn gave in 2011 where he said it was a tragedy Bin Laden had been assassinated rather than tried in an international court. BBC News didn't mention that nuance in their coverage of Cameron's speech because they've still got a licence fee to defend.
There's this real kind of frontal assault to demonise Jeremy. Britain-hating, terrorist-loving, eats babies. I mean, such a thing as overdoing things, in my view.
You might as well have called him Jihadi Jez.
Yeah. That was my wrestling name.
That's a brilliant wrestling name. I want to know what everyone's wrestling name would be.
His slap.
Paul Megaton.
No, Susan Hampshire. I didn't get a lot of work.
Do you have a wrestling name, Diane?
No, I haven't. Do you want to pick one for me?
that was quite arousing, the way you said that. What else has Cameron promised to tie in with Osborne?
Housing?
Yeah, he's promised to build 200,000 affordable homes. There is some small print to this affordable housing scheme. To qualify, you have to be under 40, and if you live in London, an affordable home can cost £450,000. God, somebody's killed themselves.
He thought of a house in London for 450,000. He's rushing out to buy it. Snap it up before it's 700. Get out there.
Cameron also got a chance in his speech. It wasn't just all spite and anger. He also got a chance in his speech to crack some jokes. He made a brilliant joke about Jeremy Corbyn's economics advisor. Should we have a look at that?
He did, yeah.
He's written a book. It's called The Joy of Tax. I've got it. I took it home to show Samantha. It's got 64 positions and none of them work.
That's gone down really badly.
That's one person in the audience that counted with, yeah.
There won't be any tax going on there.
Cameron went on about being a one-nation conservative. The Times said he needs to occupy not the centre ground, but the common ground. What's the difference?
Common ground's the bit in the middle of the village.
That's so genteel. That's where the Bake-Off tent is.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, isn't it lovely?
And the centre ground is all by the leisure centre.
Only you, Ian, could grimace so strongly at the words leisure centre.
Internet star Liz Truss was at the conference. She made an eagerly awaited speech on the subject of agriculture and the environment.
Children are at the heart of this. Thanks to our new rigorous national curriculum, children will be learning about where food comes from and the proper names of trees and animals.
The proper name for a tree. This is Gerald.
This is the Tory party conference, which featured the most impressive use of eggs since the Bake-Off final. David Cameron's compassionate speech emphasised social mobility. He said, I don't care where you come from, but only where you're going, which was pretty much the gist of Theresa May's speech as well. I don't care where you come from, but I know where you're going. During the conference, the Daily Mirror did its best to damage David Cameron with this front-page expose. Cameron the Fox Hunter, the picture he didn't want you to see. I'm not sure that's the picture he doesn't want you to see.
According to no one.
Definitely didn't happen. Anyway, Ian and Nish, take a look at this.
Yeah, that's Theresa May's ideal view of England.
Looks lovely. Oh, there's a paper bag.
Plastic
and
bag.
caring youths didn't pick it up. And that's more paper bags. There's going to be a 5p charge on paper bags. As of
Plastic
now.
bags.
Plastic
bags, you see? I followed it closely.
Yes, it's the end of the world as we know it, because English plastic bags now cost 5p. Can I actually, just quickly, it's important that I say sorry to viewers in Scotland and Wales, because they've been paying 5p for plastic bags for years. We just never heard anything about it because they're not massive, pedantic, miserly crybabies. Plastic bags take 1,000 years to degrade.
That's a very exact number, isn't it?
Yeah.
By that time, Theresa May will still be in power.
They're warning of chaos because people are saying that the rules are quite complicated. You won't be charged for a bag if you're buying some things. What are they?
Meat.
Unwrapped meat. Axe heads. You're not going to try and charge someone who's buying an axe head anything.
Also, I mean, more fool you if you're putting your axe head in a plastic bag.
There's also goods contaminated by soil, like potatoes. But if you put just one unexempt item in your bag, then you do have to pay the charge. So, with that in mind, who would like to play a game I've just made up called 5p or not 5p?
Yeah.
That is the question.
Right.
I'll describe the contents of my imaginary shopping bag. And you buzz in and tell me whether it's 5p or not 5p, because that is the question.
Yeah.
So, I've just done my weekly shop, and I'm planning a quiet night in on my own.
Yeah.
So,
What's happened to the wife, then?
She's left me. She's left me. Yeah, I didn't want to bring it up, but she's left me. Thanks, Paul. She's left me. I've just done my weekly shop. And I'm planning a quiet night in on my own.
Yeah.
So I bought some dirty potatoes, some antidepressants, a goldfish, an axe, a packet of cornflakes, and a pig's head. I put them all in one bag. So my question is that 5p or not 5p?
That's 5p.
No. The answer is not 5p.
Oh.
Not 5p.
No.
Because why do you think it was 5p?
Because it felt like something to say to get this programme over as quickly as possible. Cornflakes flew through me on the wrong path.
Cornflakes.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, technically you would have normally been right, but actually what you didn't realise is I do my weekly shop at a store that employs fewer than 250 full-time staff and hasn't chosen to opt into the 5p bag scheme. So who looks stupid now?
Well, I think it's exactly that pedantic attitude that led your wife to leave you.
She hasn't left me.
She has. She's moved in with me and the missus.
Diane, what is Jeremy Corbyn's policy on plastic bags, and to what extent do you and the rest of the Shadow Cabinet completely disagree with it?
Jeremy supports what the government is doing on plastic bags, and we all support Jeremy, which is always the way, really.
What, the Jeremy supports the government on everything?
We
worth a
support
quote.
Jeremy on everything.
The Mail on Sunday did come up with a cunning way round the 5p charge. Do you know what it
Starve
was?
yourself to death.
Eat immigrants.
Keep a plastic bag at home and take it to the shops with you.
You know what? Stunningly, they said to beat the 5p bag charge, just say no and bring your own, which of course is the entire point. Mail on Sunday readers presumably also stunned to know you can get round speed cameras just by slowing down. Taking the Mail on Sunday's advice on board, can anyone think of any other ways around the 5p charge? I'll give you a clue. The Welsh have come up with a particularly ingenious solution.
Have dragons carry your shopping.
They've just been keeping the metal shopping basket instead. One Tesco store in Denbighshire, in Wales, had 97% of its baskets taken in 2012. That's a lot of baskets. Luckily, they're easy to recycle. You just chuck them in a canal and walk off. Another way of getting around it is to get a bag for life.
Yeah.
Have you picked out your bag for life
Yes,
yet?
I have, actually. Yes, rather nice.
It's quite... How did you get that
since I was 10?
It's such a commitment.
It is, but when you see a bag that you really like and you suddenly realise there's no other bag would ever replace that bag, and so it's a bag for life. You wear it on your head, you put it inside your boots, you take it to school, you do all sorts of things with it.
I still haven't decided. I've got a viewing on one tomorrow. Tesco.
Don't rush. Don't see plenty before you make a choice.
OK.
But the government is bringing in a new scheme so we can have more affordable bags for life out on the market. So.
Actually, you probably would be charged £450,000 to live in a carrier bag in London.
That's a good deal. Oh, watch out, he's off.
This is the news that English plastic bags will now cost 5p each. It's claimed Sainsbury's are using a legal loophole, which means they don't have to give any of the profits from the bags to good causes. Well done, Sainsbury's. Taste the indifference. The bag charge is partly an attempt to reduce litter. One woman told The Independent, "My son lives near the canal and it's always full of plastic bags." Well, to be fair, using a plastic bag is the most efficient way of keeping all those kittens together. So we move to round two, the picture spin quiz. Fingers on buzzers, please, teams.
I don't know what is going on, but the man on the right looks like a handsome version of me.
And he's really delighted because he's met Shaggy from Scooby-Doo on the left.
It's the Great British Bake Off, and the lady in the middle is the winner. Everyone should know that.
Is that a policy?
No, it's a fact. It's a fact.
It's a fact. Oh, right.
It is the news that Nadia Hussain has captured the nation's heart by winning the Great British Bake Off. Did anyone see it?
No, I didn't know. I'm not interested in it.
Why not?
I suppose it's the idea of people baking cakes that I find quite boring.
Do you want to see her winning moment?
No, thank you.
Yes, we do. We've got to be informed.
Yeah. I am never, ever going to put boundaries on myself ever again. I'm never going to say, I can't do it. I'm never going to say maybe.
I cried when I saw it. I genuinely... People think I experience no emotion, including those closest to me, but I...
Depression.
It's already established that the people closest to you are no longer there.
We're going to have adverts for all BBC programmes.
Well, that is...
Ooh, a boo.
It's so popular, it's a problem for the BBC. Why?
Because they keep inserting rounds into other programmes.
There's a thing amongst the Tories that the BBC shouldn't be making popular programmes.
That's true.
That's right, yes. Culture Secretary John Whittingdale has been questioning whether the BBC should be making popular programmes at all. To be fair, they only ever make them by accident. How has Nadia's achievement been received?
Putin was ecstatic.
The Mail's resident charmer, Amanda Platel, did her own bit of steering, complaining about the multicultural makeup of the three finalists.
Well, she won't like this panel,
She says... she was furious. She wrote, "Now we're down to the final three. It's certainly a PC triumph. We are left with Muslim mum, Nadia Hussain, gay doctor, Tamal Ray, and new man, Ian Cumming." He's not new, he looks about 60. Poor Flourish had never stood a chance because she was far too middle class, and she added, perhaps, she should have made a chocolate mosque. Daily Mail readers were predictably up in arms about this. My favourite comment regarding Nadia's victory was simply, "Corbyn's Britain."
Nice people achieving things. Got to be stopped.
It is quite weird that she's been hailed as a cultural ambassador because she's a woman in a hijab who's won a baking contest. Because I suppose usually Muslims get such a bad press, basically on TV. We're not used to seeing someone of Middle Eastern appearance staring anxiously at a timer. Unless you're watching 24. Anyway, this is the winner of the Great British Bake Off. Nadia Hussain shrugged off racist abuse, telling her to go back to where she came from, saying she's not going back to Luton for anyone. Complaining about BBC political correctness, The Sun revealed that contestants on the new series of The Apprentice include a Kosovan refugee, a Nigerian businesswoman, and a Liberal Democrat. Now, that's what I call a minority. Fingers on buzzers again.
Yes.
It's Edward Snowden.
Is he ringing down to reception because he's got a cheap mirror that doesn't reflect his image?
Oh, my God! He's a vampire!
He's a vampire.
It's the news that former CIA employee and whistleblower Edward Snowden has given his first interview to the BBC.
Yes, on Panorama, which is another BBC programme, rather like Bake Off. We got 5 minutes of it.
In the interview, he alleged that British intelligence services can do what?
He said that they've got unprecedented access to your smartphone.
GCHQ can make your phone turn itself on. It can photograph you. It tells GCHQ where you are. The software inside most people's mobile phones can record all of what you're doing.
While Snowden was chatting away to the Beeb in a hotel room, how was a weather girl in his chosen country of Russia helping out Putin with the Syrian war?
Predicting clear skies?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, I think I should, actually. Except for a moment, I thought I'd made it up.
Теперь к одной из главных тем недели. В Сирии продолжается операция российских воздушно-космических сил. Как отмечают эксперты, время для нее с точки зрения погоды выбрано очень удачно. Октябрь в Сирии в целом благоприятный для полетов месяц. Средняя скорость ветра 2-4 метра в секунду. По климату всего один раз в октябре здесь могут наблюдаться сильные порывы до 15 метров.
And I think the temperature's rather higher than that during the firestorm. Yes. I mean, this is jolly weather for the Russian Air Force to bomb the hell out of Syria and create another billion refugees. She looks jolly happy.
Yes, this is ex-CIA employee and whistleblower Edward Snowden's revelation that GCHQ can now hack into your smartphone and take total control of it. Without exception, newspapers expressed amazement. All they can do is listen to your voicemails. Meanwhile, the Daily Mail reported... Meanwhile, the Daily Mail reported that the Russians have launched a brand new 29-foot supersonic cruise missile called the Sizzler. Can't wait for KFC's lawyers to kick off about that brand new thing. Fingers on buzzers again. Ooh.
Oh, yes.
This isn't made up either.
No.
Alex Salmond has been using a pseudonym when he goes on planes so that no one will recognise him. I don't think he wears that, but he's been registering as James T. Kirk, which is just wonderful. And he was pulled up by this, and they said you really should register under your own name. But he's a Trekkie.
Do you know why he was pulled up this particular time?
Well, when he was leader of the SNP, he was able to say, well, for security reasons, I have to travel under a pseudonym.
Because he had a security detail
Yes.
who would explain on his behalf.
Yes.
They'd probably go... but they weren't there anymore. He became unstuck.
And does Nicola Sturgeon fly as Lieutenant Uhura?
He's a keen Trekkie. He's a keen Trekkie. Do you know what he used to do as a child?
He used to watch the show avidly.
He used to sing.
He used to sing?
Yeah, he used to sing. He was a choir boy or something.
What's that got to do with Star Trek?
Sorry, I just thought I'd bring it up.
I want to know everything he did as a child.
Was he a terrible choir boy? Like, whatever song they were going to sing, he'd just be there going...
As a child, he would attach a clothes peg to one eyebrow in an effort to perfect the inscrutable expressions of Mr. Spock.
We need another referendum because we lost the last one. Illogical.
He's doing impressions now.
Yeah.
Speaking of identity mix-ups, Giles Brandreth was mistaken for something he's not this week. Can anyone tell me what happened?
Was it a sort of small warehouse in Swansea?
No. This happened at a literary festival. After an hour,
Yes.
a full hour of Brandreth speaking about his political and theatrical life, a bemused audience member stood up and asked, "That was all very interesting, in its way, but what I want to know is how do you debone a trout?" Who did she think he was?
Rick Stein.
That's absolutely right, she did. Rick Stein, easy mistake to make. This was Alex Salmond being stopped from boarding a plane using the name Captain Kirk from Star Trek. According to the Mail, when he was a boy, Alex Salmond wanted to be Mr. Spock, mainly because growing up in Scotland, it was his only chance to live long and prosper. It's then told. For a while, he travelled under the name James T. Kirk, but now Alex Salmond travels in anonymity using the name Alex Salmond. Which means at the end of this round, it's 4 points to Ian and Nish and 3 points to Paul and Diane.
Lovely.
Time now for the odd one out round. It's one between you this week. Your four are Ian Paisley, Margaret Thatcher, Concorde and Helen Mirren.
Is Concorde the odd one out because it's not waving?
About 10,000 times better than the actual answer.
It always is.
Can we have a clue?
Well, it's Helen Mirren, but it's what she...
That's more the answer.
It's...
Is she the odd one out because all the rest of them are things that have been played by Helen Mirren?
What has she recently declared she's going to give up?
Low-fat yogurt.
Tell us what she's giving up, and we'll work round to the answer.
Yeah.
She's giving up nudity.
How is she going to have a bath?
What does she do? What does she do that the others...
She's an actress.
Mm-hmm. What sort of roles does she play?
She was a detective. She was the Queen.
She's not going to play the Queen naked anymore!
Is anyone going to get this?
No, tell us.
OK.
No, tell us.
They're all
promise
people
you.
or things that the Queen is good at mimicking, apart from Helen Mirren, who's good at mimicking the Queen.
What? Concorde.
That's apparently the Queen is good at mimicking Concorde. That's what it says here. It's written down in English in front of me. It's apparently true. It's in a believable font. This was part of it. It was a flurry of royal facts that were published to mark her becoming the longest reigning monarch. There were lots of facts about her. Does anyone know how she managed to hone her impersonation of Concorde?
Did she go full method like Daniel Day-Lewis and just be a Concorde for 6 months?
She just listened to it as it flew over. According to Bishop Michael Mann...
Oh, don't listen to him.
The Queen,
never off it.
Apparently the Queen imitating the Concorde landing is one of the funniest things you could see.
Oh, she does the visuals as well, does she?
The visuals. Do you know what other impressions she has in her repertoire?
Well, obviously, Ian Paisley.
Yeah. In the 1980s, her favourite impressions were said to include Tony Benn, Renee from Hello Hello, and Rolf Harris. She doesn't do that last one quite as much.
Yeah. Now at Her Majesty's pleasure somewhere else.
When the Queen is rehearsing for the state opening of Parliament and her crown isn't available for some reason, what does she put on her head?
Tea cosy. Weighted to simulate exactly the crown.
That's not as
Oh, no.
crazy as... It's a sack of flour. A sacrifice, because it's the equivalent weight of the crown and helps her prepare for the ceremony. Who hasn't met the Queen this week?
I haven't.
Mr. Corbyn hasn't met the Queen.
That's right. He turned down an invitation to a ceremony to join the Privy Council. According to the Mail, a spokesman for Mr. Corbyn said he could not attend today due to a diary clash, but wouldn't say what this was. There were suspicions he didn't want to kneel in front of the Queen and kiss her hand. Why wouldn't he do that, Diane?
Well, it's just one of these stories they're kind of whipping up, kind of anti-Corbyn.
To be fair, it is one of the more genteel initiation ceremonies we've heard about.
Could you do that if you were leader?
What?
You wouldn't mind meeting Queen Christina?
I've met the Queen.
Right.
Did you kiss her hand?
Hmm?
Did you kiss her
No,
hand?
I didn't kiss her hand.
Did you kneel?
She didn't seem offended at all.
I guess you've got to be in the right circumstance, so she's got to offer the hand. You can't just walk up to her and be like...
No, you get shot.
Yes, they are all people or things that the Queen is good at mimicking, apart from Helen Mirren, who's good at mimicking the Queen. A lot of people now can't look at the Queen without thinking of Helen Mirren, especially Prince Philip. According to the Mail Online, those who know Her Majesty describe her as having a relaxed sense of humour and a talent for mimicry in private company. Though, to be fair, it's a brave courtier that pipes up with, who the hell's that supposed to be?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus! Snipers trying to stop this broadcast. Don't look up.
No, please don't do that.
Is there an escaped madman with a severed head up there? I've heard that urban myth.
Guys, we're just going to stop just a moment, just check the lamp, OK?
I think you find it's blown.
Health and Safety have come in, had a look and said, yeah.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication The Torch, the newsletter of the Blowtorch Collectors Association. And we start with, even though my wife what, I still love her.
Set me on fire with a blowtorch?
Even though my wife told me she was Ronnie Pickering, I still love her.
Even though my wife thinks all blowtorches look the same, I still love her. This is from the newsletter of the Blowtorch Collectors Association. Ted and Rose Mayer have been happily married for 45 years, and the only misunderstanding they've had in that time is when she asked him what he wanted for his birthday, and he said, any chance of a blowtorch, love? Next. Nudists fear what will spoil naked tennis?
Balls.
It's quite a long gap.
Balls!
Sponsored kit. Blow torches.
That would liven it up.
Exactly.
It's actually nudists fear new flats overlooking court will spoil naked tennis. Apart from the spectators. Next, man who turned his dead cat into a drone, what?
Think similar.
Got a long wait.
Yeah, long way, yeah.
It's actually now plans to create a cow helicopter. Obviously. Bert Janssen, a Dutch artist, and the man who brought you this... is planning on creating a one-person aircraft in the shape of a cow. Jeremy Corbyn is desperately hoping he'll be able to make pigs fly just in time for the next election. Next, driver with bear in his car let off by police because what?
Because it was a panda car.
No, it's actually because it was wearing a seatbelt. Yes, a man in Russia this week was spotted by police driving with a bear in the back of his car.
He was on way to Woods on urgent mission.
Next, Katie and Wendell Fritz are hosting a blowtorch collectors get-together, and it finishes when what?
Everybody goes home. They run out of gas.
You were right the first time.
Well, no. But when
Because
everybody
the
goes
answer is,
home...
Katie and Wendell Fritz are hosting a blowtorch collectors get-together, and it finishes when everyone decides to leave. The event includes a meal at noon. Oh, God, not creme brulee again. And finally, what more important to Scots than alcohol?
Love.
Porridge?
Nothing.
I'd cancel that tour.
No, it's actually potatoes more important to Scots than alcohol. A new study has revealed that Scots are more likely to forego alcohol than deny potatoes a place on their tables. According to the Scotsman, 34% of Scots would choose to eat potatoes on their deathbed. It's too late to start eating vegetables then, you idiot. So, our final scores are Ian and Nish, 4 points, but Paul and Diane, 5 points. But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
I woke up this morning feeling a little hoarse.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Nish Kumar, Paul Merton and Diane Abbott, and I leave you with news that, at a high-level summit, the Iranian ambassador can't wait for the results of his exploding chair prank. After death threats from a deranged sniper, George Osborne begins to have doubts about the protective clothing he's been issued by his staff. A leaked photo from the set of the new Star Wars film suggests that stress counselling has worked wonders for Darth Vader. And finally, a man who thought he'd fulfilled his life's ambitions wakes up to discover, sadly, it was all a dream. Good night.